Look at this. This is getting ratioed to oblivion. What do you want? Japan is finished. It is becoming your average American vassal state. Age of consent increase. We did it, lads. The bringing out that like dark age edit, like NATO, you know, Fash Wave VHS tape thing. It's like 18-year-old age of consent is mandatory or non-negotiable. That's right. The age of consent is non-negotiable. Oh God. Vaush, aren't white people in America the most progressive group besides Jews? What? Jew a lot of first of all, a lot of Jews are white. Those are not mutually exclusive groups. For two, no. Very complicated. Japan is extremely conservative. Yeah, Japan is very, very conservative, yeah. A wasteland like Sweden. Oh. You know, a lot of people don't realize this. But America stays winning. You know how in America line always go up? This is like basically just America and China. Look at Japan down there. Japan hasn't been a booming industrial powerhouse since the mid-90s. Since then, their GDP has literally remained stagnant. America's has tripled since then. A lot of people don't realize the line go up meme is basically just a US and China thing. It's the same with Germany. Germany's flagged since the 90s. I think South Korea's had some fairly steady growth, but not that much. Want to know one of the things that makes our country so strong? Immigration. If Japan was not so stingy about bringing in immigrants, their line would have gone way more up. Do you think it correlates with average prosperity? Slightly. Line going up correlates with economic activity. That's what the GDP is, after all. You know, total economic activity in, you know, currency amount in the year. And it's line go up doesn't make your life better necessarily. I guess it's rather like line going up means we continue to meet the expectations that foster, at least to an extent, some degree of stability. Does that make any sense? Like, it's more like line go up in a capitalist system is like the bedrock of basic economic stability. America earns by owning things while China earns by making things? To an extent. Well, America's mostly a service economy. I mean, a lot of our wealth comes from tech and service work. But at the same time, America also does produce highly, like, specialized stuff, you know? I mean, our military-industrial complex is obviously top of the world. Yeah, Japan is an aging population because they don't bring in immigrants and none of their people fuck. They're like fucking pandas. They're too stressed to have sex. Have you got, okay, I totally sympathize with the Japanese because I don't want to have sex when I'm stressed either, you know? Like, I don't know if I'm like sort of revealing my effeminacy here, but if I'm like worried about something, I don't want to fuck. Well, I'm not, you know, I'm doing other stuff, you know? So over in Japan, where everyone's working 25-hour work days, you know, they don't want to, you know. Also, they have sex dolls too. Well, we have sex dolls as well. Have you never stress fapped? I don't really jerk off when I'm stressed. No, I'm just distracted by other stuff for the most part. Opening immigration in Japan would literally solve the incel problem in America. Dude, that you do not want American incels traveling over to Japan for fucking Japanese waifus, okay? This is not an acceptable solution to anyone's sociological problems. Holy shit. Oh my god. That'd be fucking dangerous. What a mess. It's a solution to mine. Just befriend a Japanese woman on, I don't know, a niche anime forum, and then, like, pay for her to come over to America, okay? More economic opportunity over here. Anyway. It would be funny, however. Yeah. Yes, it would definitely be funny. Also, isn't there a, China GDP? Aren't there people saying that China's GDP is massively overinflated? I just saw a video on this. I wanted chat's opinion because I don't know enough about economics. Hold on. There was a video that I saw. Let me check my history. Search watch history. China. China. Here we go. Money and macro.
Both the statisticians and the press can easily manipulate GDP statistics, but they cannot fake real economic activity. Therefore, more authoritarian countries are likely to overstate GDP growth more. At least that is the main claim of this paper by Professor Luis Martinez. And as a scientist, he backs up that claim with data, in this case from satellites.
This is so I saw this. This is very interesting to me. I don't know how real this is, but I just wanted to watch. Yeah, it's very speculative.
Because sure, rulers that control both the statisticians and the press can easily manipulate GDP statistics. But they cannot fake real economic activity. And in our modern economies, real economic activity can be seen from space, especially when night sets and the lights go on. So, to find out if authoritarians manipulate GDP statistics more, Martinez looked at 184 countries between 1992 and 2008. Then he compared the growth of lights at night in each country to the growth of GDP that each country reported. What he found is that, as expected, when a night's light grew, all countries typically also reported that GDP grew. However, when making...
Okay, so basically, look. So look at this. Look, are you looking? Please look. Please clap. Okay? So basically, wait, what? What? Why is the text superimposed over the image? What? The image file is just the background graph, and they have the text in a separate HTML element superimposed over it. Why would you ever do that? It's for cross-platform consistency? Okay! Whatever, I'll just zoom in then, but weird. So anyway, so the basic argument that's made in the paper is that you can reliably predict GDP based on the amount of light in a country. Like at nighttime, how much is lit up? That seems really simple, but if you think about it, basically everything associated with economic activity is going to correlate with the lights stay on at night. This is a lot more complicated than I can really analyze, but I guess the value of this assessment can be demonstrated by the fact that this seems to be a very reliable indicator for these countries over here, see? So these countries that are free, quote unquote, which also means wealthy, you know, the estimate of their GDP and their reported GDP are very close together, with a couple of exceptions. But then if you have the less free countries over here, like Ethiopia and China, there's a massive difference between the GDP that they report and the GDP that is suggested based on the lights that they have on at night. Now, keep in mind that how free a country is going to correlate to how wealthy it is. Like, obviously, the US is very wealthy, and Rwanda is not. And it's possible that wealthier countries tend to be a little bit more frivolous with their use of nighttime electricity. At the very least, this is an interesting metric, is it not? China's pretty rural. How does this account for that? I mean, I don't think this should be interpreted as a determinative, like, factual, kind of feels like skull science. No, okay, wait, let me try this another way. We're talking about we're talking about information here that's really, really, really difficult to estimate. Like, impossible, basically, to estimate reliably. So we have to use estimates, and then we have to test those estimates by seeing how reliably we get accurate results, where we have a transparent knowledge of the associated factor. So over in countries that are transparent, where it's very easy to see what their GDP is, because all the factors and features there can be sort of looked at and pulled apart, the nighttime light graph is fairly reliable. But countries that are more authoritarian, it becomes much less reliable. We already know that China has a history of lying about its internal demographics as a way of appeasing both internal and external agitators. So I don't think this proves that China's GDP is only a third of what they say it is. I think this kind of suggests that there's a trend of less transparent countries overinflating their GDP. Yes, Crestfallen Hollow. I think that could be the case to an extent. But keep in mind, like, you're going to see stuff like that all over the place in places like Turkey or Russia. I mean, it's not like these countries don't have nightlives or whatever. Where's North Korea on this chart? I don't fucking know. I think this graph is GDP increase. Yeah, sorry, this is GDP increase between 2002 and 2021. Sorry. Though for China, that would be basically its entire fucking GDP. How is the partly free and not free difference determined? This, The Economist is a neoliberal publication, so probably by, I don't know, flipping a coin. Or like, I don't know, is it legal for business owners to shoot union organizers there? No? Okay, then it's not free. I don't know. Does North Korea even release GDP results? No. Hold on. Earth at night. At the very least, I feel like it's pretty intuitive to understand that where you can see light at night is a pretty strong indication of where there's like development. Less developed nations being lower light emitting on average was corrected for within the study. Okay, gotcha. I think this study is useful. No wonder they call it Darkest Africa. Whoa! God damn. This is the Nile, right? Really keeping the Nile lit up. It's like, I mean, I knew Cairo was huge. I didn't realize the entirety of the Nile was just kept on fire at all times. That's a lot of light. Is that... It's actually hard to make out where the countries are. Okay, Finland. Moscow? Is that Moscow? Yeah. Yeah. Very lit up. Easy to see where London is. Paris. India is quite bright. Spain be dark. A lot of Spain is empty space. If I remember correctly, a lot of the interior of Spain is is actually quite yeah, inhospitable. And then there's China, which, yeah, I mean, the second largest GDP in the world, right? I mean, I kind of get it. India has like 1/5 or something of the GDP of China, but yeah. Here we have the South and North Korea um divide. Uh did it not Madman Soapbox? I'm sorry to hear that. You can email me for a refund or email the support email, whatever works. Sorry about that. It might go through in a bit. North Korea's fog of war. Ah, yes, they've just developed fog of war technology. Do you think Europe might grow less because rich people could make more money in America from lower taxes and regulations, whereas European countries generally care more about all of its citizens? If you're asking if America has been economically privileged because of our austerity politics and contemptuous attitude towards the poor, the answer is yes. God damn it, it's bright down there. This must be where the Squid Game was. The lights are only indicating the population density and the local policy on power usage. The local policy on power usage is informed by the GDP of the country, correlatively. Not perfectly, but yeah, there's absolutely an association there. The wealthier a country is, the more energy it will have access to, and the cheaper it'll be able to get that energy. This is a fairly reliable, pretty much all of human development, like on a civilizational level, comes down to energy production and distribution. I mean, really think about it, right? Like so much of our like sort of expansion as a species has come down to the methods by which we are able to extract energy from the environment. Right now, we're facing basically an apocalypse scenario because of the use of coal and oil and what have you. But it was the emergence of those fossil fuels that kickstarted the Industrial Revolution and therefore all of modernity. Before that, the water wheel and the plow. I mean, these are energy saving devices at the very least. If some countries have good dams, can't they have cheap energy? Yes, and if they have cheap energy and good dams, that probably means they have a lot of money too. Cheap energy means that it's easier for them to develop their economic infrastructure, and dams are not cheap themselves. Light use at night will correlate strongly with wealth, with GDP. God damn, the Pacific is huge. I feel like a lot of people don't realize that, like, the Pacific is just the whole world, actually. Like, the Atlantic is nothing. The Atlantic is like, oh, wow, dude, like look at this. Look at South America and Africa. Like, I could spit that far. Fuck you. The Pacific, however, is just like it's just like, yeah, it's the whole world, basically, is just water. Yeah. God damn. Spooky. Them Polynesians, though. Dude, the world must have been fucking terrifying to the Polynesians. Like Moana shit or whatever. Like, yeah, we live on this island and we're gonna go sail for another island. The idea of living on like a collection of islands gives me anxiety. You know? Pardon me for not having the seafarer's instinct, but I'm very happy to be living on a continent, you know? Like, oh yeah, there's land here. There's land everywhere, actually. If there's basically infinite land, from my perspective, you know? But if you're on an island, you could just walk around your island. It's like, okay, great. Continents or islands? Yeah, but they're so big, they don't feel like that. Have you ever been on an island you don't really notice when you're there? I've been on Catalina Island. It's right off the coast of California. It's a frequent travel destination for Los Angeles. Quite pretty. It was also the time that I realized that I don't get seasick. My whole family was getting queasy and throwing up in the toilet, and I was just on the deck of the ship. That was fun. I live on an island, you don't notice it. Yeah, you say that. Honestly, this is a very weak correlation of remote sensing metrics. Australia, Canada, Pakistan, etc. are damn yet very economically developed. Canada is the second largest country on Earth. We're not... Okay, let me try this again. How about you read the paper? Because I read the paper after watching the video, and I'm convinced that it's at least a useful thing to look at. A lot of what you're asking to account for is included in the paper. It is interesting. Just, yeah, Montreal is an island? Yeah. Tenochtitlan was on an island. I have been learning so much shit about the Mesoamericans because of the stupid fucking game idea that I have. The paper can give a vibe of the going-ons, but not the accurate. What are we talking about? Why are you all... New York is an island? Shut up! Oh my god! New York is a... Liberty Island is... Dude, you can fucking swim to the mainland, okay? I was talking about the Polynesians. These are people whose religions were oriented around the idea that there were just a bunch of tiny islands in the ocean. Like, there's nothing... You could fucking... Well, is it Liberty Island? What is it? Liberty something? I don't know. I've never been to New York. I don't care. Daily reminder. As long as I'm remembering this, daily fucking reminder that Tenochtitlan in the 16th century was one of the largest cities on the world. They had clean water and were relatively free of disease. The people bathed. They had water distribution systems that left the Spanish conquistadors dumbfounded. It was built on a fucking island in the middle of a lake. It's built on modern-day Mexico City. It's dope as shit. And it's cool. After the conquest and burning of Tenochtitlan, one of the Spanish conquistadors wrote a book where he was like, I can't believe we burnt the most beautiful city in the world. This is fucked up. Did they have Starbucks? Yes. They built most of the islands. Yeah, you know how Dubai is building artificial islands to, like, sell to rich people? Tenochtitlan, they did that. They actually had systems for moving dirt around to build artificial islands that they could farm on in the water. They would build fields in the water, which is pretty dope. Is buildings a stretch? They're sinking and out of money. Well, that's a Mexico City problem. This was 500 years ago. Built on a lake? Yeah. The Aztecs were super, 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 super warlike. So having their fortress city on a lake was really beneficial when it came to conflict with other tribes. The main reason that the Spanish were able to win out over the Incans and the Aztecs or because, especially with the Aztecs, everyone else hated them. There were natives, like, everywhere, and the Aztecs were just the biggest, most bloodthirsty tribe. So when the Spanish arrived and they were like, hey, we can, like, take down Moctezuma, the emperor, for you, the other tribes were like, yeah. Yeah, the Flower Wars. Most of the fighting when the conquistadors came was between Mesoamericans, not between the Spanish and Mesoamericans. There were only a couple thousand, I think at most, Spanish soldiers. Most of it was fighting between them. Genuinely wonder how the city smelled. London always smelled like dog shit, and Venice too. They didn't have pack animals in Mesoamerica. Apparently it smelled quite nice, as was written by the Spanish. But of course, that also meant the Mesoamericans didn't have any immunity to smallpox, so yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to find this. I only learned this while doing the research on stream, but because Tenochtitlan was built on the water. Oh yeah, this. Because it was built on the water. Look, the Spanish had to build makeshift boats to assault Tenochtitlan with. These boats right here were the makeshift ones they built on the lake. Like, they couldn't bring in their ships from the ocean because it was on a lake. So in order for them to cross the water, see all the rafts back here, the Aztec ones, they were literally like on the far side of the lake, like trying to fucking speed build these things. Yeah, wild shit. All right, stop. Getting distracted.